After 30 years in the personal injury world, legal world, you get a lot of questions from people about what they should do, what they shouldn't do when they're involved in a car accident. And it's really just a bunch of common sense things you can kind of keep in mind. If you're looking at the television or even internet commercials, you'll hear all these attorneys yelling at you that the first thing you have to do is call our office, call our office. It really isn't the first thing you have to do, and it really isn't the immediate most important thing you have to do. If you're involved in a car accident or your family member is involved in a car accident, you could be looking at a mangled vehicle, serious injuries. The first thing you want to do is make sure you're okay, make sure your family's okay. You've probably got law enforcement on the scene. If it's a big hit accident, you've probably got paramedics on the scene or emergency medical services. Let them check you out. If necessary, if they suggest it, even if you don't want to go to the hospital, go. Again, listen to what the medical personnel tell you. So that's really the first thing to do. Make sure you, your family, whoever's involved in the accident is okay. Second thing you can think about is you can certainly talk with law enforcement. They're on scene to try and document what happened in the accident. You want to make sure that if this guy in the red car blew through an intersection and slammed into your vehicle, there's no harm in making sure that officer knows exactly what you saw and exactly what happened. If there's witnesses to the accident, make sure, if you can, that you can identify who those people are. Names, addresses, telephone numbers, cell numbers, work numbers. Make sure those people are talking with law enforcement, or law enforcement knows, hey, look, that person was in the car as well. They saw what happened. Or I had two people in my car with me. They saw what happened. They need to give you their statement and tell you what happened as well. And don't be afraid about what you tell law enforcement. I mean, information you give to law enforcement here in the state of Florida that's part of an accident investigation can't be used against you in any way. In a criminal case or a civil case, it can't be used against you. It is there. It is important simply for law enforcement to document what happened, allow them to investigate the scene. After that, something to think about is if you can, photograph everything. If you can't do it, if you've got a family member or a friend that can take video of the scene, photographs of the scene, photographs and video of everything you see. Vehicle damage, people that are there, the intersection that's involved, airbag deployment inside the vehicles, even injuries if you see something like that. You can't document too much information. If you've got a family member or a friend who can do it, let them. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's information that can help you down the road. If there's a dispute as to who's at fault for the accident or what injuries weren't or weren't caused on either side, having those photographs there and that information with video as well can, help figure out exactly what happened. And again, you don't want to be blamed for something you didn't do. That type of documentation can make sure that you're not, and make sure that anything related to your case can be preserved. Once you've actually spoken with law enforcement, you've been able to document the scene, maybe you've gone for medical attention or your family has that day, what do you do next? Well, your car is probably mangled. The first thing you want to do after that is let your insurance carrier know that you were involved in an accident. There's no shame in that. There's no harm in that. If you've got auto insurance here in the state of Florida, there is a 99% chance that inside of that insurance policy is a clause that says you have a duty to report and to cooperate with your insurance carrier. It's in your contract. It's part of your agreement with them that you're going to report the accident to them, let them know, and then cooperate with their investigation in a reasonable manner, letting them know what happened, letting them know where it was, letting them see your vehicle, whatever it might be, to allow them to do a basic minimum investigation of that particular situation. And it's important also to let your insurance carrier know, because you should have benefits within your own insurance policy that would provide and pay for medical expenses regardless of fault. It's called PIP insurance or no fault insurance. If you get into a car accident, you're not at fault, you didn't do it, somebody hit you, you've got some insurance money right there in your contract, your insurance contract, that'll pay for your hospital bill or EMS or things like that. So again, in order to trigger those benefits, to get those benefits out of your own policy, you have to do that within a certain period of time. Let your carrier know. You got to let them know within 2 weeks, 14 days of your accident. And you also want to make sure that you report to or get cleared, get looked at, get checked out by a medical professional within those 2 weeks to again trigger those PIP or no fault benefits. So again, Let your carrier know you're involved in the accident. That's important. And make sure you do it within those 2 weeks. And make sure you see a medical professional either day of accident or within a couple of days of the accident to, again, trigger those PIP or no-fault benefits that can be there for your policy. Now, look, at that point, if someone's hit you, someone's caused you injury, someone's caused you damage or putting you out of work, it certainly makes sense to make a call to an attorney. Make sure you speak with someone who's been doing this type of work for a long period of time. I've done it on both sides. When I was much younger, I represented insurance companies and people that caused accidents. For the last 25 years, I've been representing the people that are the victims of car accidents and other types of injury cases. Whoever you talk to, whoever you hire, make sure they've got a lot of experience in this particular area. There's a lot of nuance to it. There's a lot of information that your average attorney who does, let's say, real estate law probably isn't going to know about because they just aren't experienced, aren't in that particular field very much. But talk with your attorney. Make sure your attorney knows all the facts that were involved. Make sure your attorney knows photographs if you have them. Provide witness information, accident report information, give them in your insurance information as well. Let your attorney start investigating the matter. Your attorney can put together all the information related to the who, the what, the where, when, why, and how the accident occurred. And your attorney will also get in touch with the insurance carrier for the other side, for the person who caused this accident, to see what type of benefits are there in bodily injury coverage that can provide coverage for the injuries that were caused to you, again, by that other person. Your attorney will look into all that type of stuff. Your attorney will then, at some point, gather all the information related to your case. Again, photographs, medical records, all the information related to the case, and then can go back to that insurance company for the person that caused the accident and say, hey, look, this is all the damage that your person caused, that your insured caused. Here's the medical expenses. Here's the lost wages. Here's the photographs of the injuries, the damage that proves what happened here. Here's the witnesses that saw exactly what happened. Here's the witness statements. Here's the report from Officer Friendly who took the information as well. But your attorney will put all that package together and then go back to that insurance company and say, look, here's the damage caused. Here's our proof. Here's our demand. Here's what it's going to cost. Because really, at the end of the day, that's what your attorney can do for you. We can't fix a broken bone or fix a car, at least most of us can't. But what we can do, good ones anyway, we can assess the situation, we can gather all the information, we can make the responsible person and their insurance carrier, more importantly, pay for the damage that they caused. Now, what kind of goes along with that is the idea of what's called uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage. That is not a required type of coverage here in the state of Florida. It probably should be, but it's not. And it comes into play because I think there's now 12 or 13 million people that live here in the state of Florida, and there are literally millions of people that are driving around without liability or bodily injury coverage. That's the type of coverage that covers their mistakes. If you've got bodily injury coverage, that means if you go out and cause the accident, your bodily injury coverage will cover the damage for the other side, for the person that you hurt. But not most, but a lot of people and a lot of insurance contracts don't have that bodily injury coverage in there. It's not really required by the state of Florida. Some states do require it, Florida doesn't. So you could get hit by someone who's got quote unquote full coverage here in the state of Florida and they don't have bodily injury liability coverage. There's no coverage for you to go after in the bad person's insurance to pay for the damage that they caused. What do? Well, if you have in your own policy something called uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage, that can be there for your relief. Basically what it is a portion of your policy that covers the bad person who caused the accident who doesn't have any insurance. If you've got UM or underinsured motorist coverage, you can go back to your own carrier and that portion of your coverage will cover the bad person who doesn't have any insurance, and you can seek payment out of that particular portion of your policy. Most people don't realize that UM coverage is out there. If you're signing up with your agent, they might mention it to you and tell you about it, but they probably don't explain it very well because a lot of people reject it. It costs more money and it can be expensive, but it is worth it, I'm telling you, because there are literally millions of people driving around out there who don't have any type of coverage, bodily injury coverage, and that UM coverage can be in there to protect you, protect your family, and get you some sort of coverage and some sort of money when the other person doesn't have any liability coverage in their own policy. Again, it's probably something that Florida should require. It doesn't. I wish they did. Other states do require it, but not here in Florida. So there's a couple of things to keep in mind on the front end of your case, if you got a case. Things to think about, things to do, things to let your attorney know about. Now, if your attorney goes through all that process and puts all the information together and goes back to the insurance company or companies and says, look, here's all the damage that's caused, here's what we want in order to settle this case, sometimes, hopefully, an insurance company is going to act reasonably and look at the particular case, look at the damage, and then pay a fair number. We all know a lot of times they don't, and that's just part of the way it works. Insurance companies, from their perspective, are there to make money. I don't literally like the way they treat people a lot of times, but it is to be expected. If the insurance company doesn't give you a fair offer, a fair way to resolve your case, next step is for your attorney to draft what's called a complaint, which is a piece of paper that lists this is what was done, this is the damage that was caused, here's where it occurred, and it's basically a complaint is the lawsuit that gets filed with the clerk of court, and that starts the process in court. Again, your attorney can do that for you. Again, make sure you've got someone who can handle that information and knows that information, knows how to do it, and has experience there, because there are a lot of little things that can increase the value of your case or decrease the value of your case if you don't cover them. You need to have an attorney that can handle that type of stuff and has been in court and can do those things.